What is up, my people? Welcome to Bite the Bullet. I am your host, Jay Reese, and man, oh man, which now that I think about it, should I say man, oh man? Maybe I should say woman, man, to be equal, just to be fair to everybody. Or maybe I should say people, something like that. But anyway, I digress. I am hyped because I have an awesome guest today. I was just speaking to Amy Edge backstage before we went live, and she is just a ray of light, awesome sunshine. And to quote her words, she's a little quirky, a little weird, but we love it. It's one of those things that just love it. I love it. So let me stop babbling and go ahead and give her a proper intro by reading her cards. Amy Edge is a director of operations and an integrator for impact-driven entrepreneurs. After starting Amy Edge & Co., she turned her passion into a full-time business alongside 5 team members to ensure clients are taking the right next step for their business. Her transparency, ownership, and standard of excellence allow her to service her clients with success while providing tangible results. And I gotta tell you, from me speaking to her just now, I know all of that's true, but without further ado, without any more pre-ramble, let's bring on Amy Edge!
I wish I had like drums to like enter, or I had some sort of theme song going.
I know, right? I need to get one of those DJ air horns that go burr, 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 burr. I need to get one of those. So, Amy, if you don't mind me asking, go ahead and tell us, Amy Edge & Co. What is it all about, and how do you service other people, or how do you service people?
Awesome. So I am a director of operations or an integrator. Sometimes people will refer to me as a project manager. That term is more widely known. And I specifically work with visionary entrepreneurs or visionary small business owners. And I partner with them to really become an operational leader, a team leader in their business, so that we are increasing their profits. I am empowering their team, and we're scaling their business with ease, and instead of like frustration or overwhelm. So the visionary CEO actually sits at the top of their business, and I'm able to manage all of the other pieces of their business and really scale them to move forward to whatever their next level is that they want to be.
Oh, I love hearing stories about anyone who is willing to go out and help people and actually be able to monetize it in the process. So I'm curious, how did this all come about? Like, why and how did you start it?
Sure. So hopefully I don't cry when I tell this story, but about 8 years ago, my husband was let go from his corporate job. And at the time I was working as a preschool director, and I wasn't making that much money. So we ended up losing our house, and we had to pack all of our belongings up in a little moving truck, and we moved several hours away. And so we were away from family, we were away from friends. It was not possible for me to travel to work. So now we're in this new place, and I don't have a job. There is no steady source of income. My husband was able to pick up some part-time jobs. So we do have some money coming in, but it wasn't enough. And so I have always had this grittiness inside of me where I knew that I could make something happen, right? And I knew I had, from my education background, these innate skills and gifts that I could use, and I just had to figure out, how do I use them? And so I leaned into those, and I figured out, hey, I can serve people online with project management, with operations. Like, people out there need my skills, vice versa, right? The yin and the yang. And so I just kind of started. I just said, hey, I'm going to give it a go. I got my first client. We loved each other. We had great success. She referred me to somebody else. Same story. And so my business grew over time from just providing exceptional service and an exceptional outcome that they were looking for. And so within 6-8 months from starting my business, working part-time, I was full-time in my business, working 40 hours a week. And then I was able to retire my husband from his job that he had just gotten a new job. So I retired him. And so he works in my business with me. He's our CFO.
I
And
love that.
now
Okay.
we have been able to bring in new team members who are new to the field, and we're training them. And it's my vision with our business, not only that we're supporting other like visionary entrepreneurs and pushing their vision forward and the impact that they want to create, but my own personal mission is to always have like lead with service first. So I believe in servant leadership, and I do that with my team. So we have interns that come in, we mentor middle school and high school students on entrepreneurship, on business, and we are growing in that sort of way. And I really truly believe, because we look at business in that sort of filter or lens, it's enabled us to be really successful.
I love everything that you're saying. And I think you said so much right there that I want to unpack. And you seem like a woman there are no bounds, like there are no limits, right? So where does that courage, where does that grittiness come from to start your own business, to just go ahead and leap out on faith and just to do it, or even to start a mentorship program with kids and the youth? All that stuff takes courage and some level. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I almost assume there probably was some fear there, maybe a little bit. But how did you get past that?
Yeah, so I feel like every day I wake up and there is fear there, and I make a decision every day that whatever comes my way, I'm going to overcome. But my life hasn't always been like that. So I have I have childhood trauma that for a long time really kept me in this box. And when I say box, like this box was like taped lots of times with packing tape, and it was like sealed really shut. But the grittiness that I leaned on when I started my business was out of pure necessity. If I didn't make something happen, where were we going to be? How was I going to feed my 3 children and my newborn at the time? I had to make change. I had to do something. We needed financial security. We needed something. So I had to kind of just say, I'm scared as shit, but I cannot let that in this box, and I cannot keep playing small because of that fear. Because if I do, like, what's going to happen to my family? What's going to happen to my kids? And so it was because of that I was able to just say, you know, I'm scared, but I'm going to do this thing. Like I'm scared, but I'm just going to do it, because honestly, what's the worst that's going to happen if I do it? I might hear a no. Like I've heard no so many times in my life. I cannot let what I think my future could be by a 2-letter word. So that's kind of like how I kind of fell into just moving forward. I'm still scared. I'm scared. Like 5 minutes before I jumped on the call with you, Jay, I was like, do I really want to do this? I don't know. It seems like a lot. 3 minutes. Okay, I can't cancel. I'm just going to have to do it. Right? Like there's always fear.
Well, I'm glad you didn't cancel on me, because we would have been having a different type of conversation. But I love what you said. Like, you can't let that 2-letter word stop you from what your future could be. I got to write that. I'm gonna write that down, because I got to use that somewhere sometime.
Yeah, I never said it before, so I might need to write it down.
I love that. That's your quote, and I'm gonna give you credit, so no worries. So I tend to wonder, how are you able to balance? Well, actually, let's backtrack a little bit. How were you able to balance starting your career and starting this whole business with 3 kids, a newborn, and your husband, who, if I understand the story correctly, had just been laid off? How were you able to balance that?
Well, I have a friend, her name's Ashley, and she has a book coming out, and I'm going to quote the book and just throw this out for her. Balance is bullshit. And so I don't believe, and Ashley doesn't believe either,
Uh-huh.
that you can have balance. You are either, you know, kind of sucking at one thing and rising above in the other, or vice versa, right? Like
Preach, Amy, preach.
you have to make the conscious decision to know, okay, if I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to focus here, then this thing's going to suffer. So, for instance, when I started my business, and even
Uh-huh.
sometimes now, I'm like, okay, I'm focusing on this initiative. That means that I'm going to be working 9 to 6 every day for
Mm-hmm.
the next 2 weeks. I know that. So, and I'm putting a lot of effort here. So, I've
Mm-hmm.
got to just be okay that my kids are eating cereal for dinner, that my house is a mess, that the 6-year-old has Pokemon cards all over the place, that I have to just be okay with that messiness in order to excel over here.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's just how I built the business, just knowing that if I'm going to show up here, I'm not going to be able to do all those things that a typical mom
Mm-hmm.
is going to do. But I never not loved my kids. I never
Mm-hmm.
not participated with them, and
Right.
I made sure that those important things were taken care of. But as long as they're fed, whether it's a cereal or a 4-course meal, my kids are taken care of in that sort of aspect. So I think letting go of the idea of balance is balanced.
It's interesting because I've heard that concept before of understanding that the phrase multitasking is imaginary. You can't really do that because if you're over in one area, you have to give 100%, or at least you should be giving 110% to that versus trying to do other things at the same time. And to your point, if I'm over here managing my business, yeah, the kids might have to eat cereal tonight, but then tomorrow night, I'll make sure I'll give them that 4-course meal and my business might suck just a little bit. But it's that constant thing of just figuring out, okay, where am I going to be great at today? Right. And I love that. I
Absolutely.
love the way you phrase that. That was awesome, yo.
I have some golden nuggets sometimes.
Oh, I think you have a lot of golden nuggets. You're being modest right now. I think you have a lot of golden nuggets. So I'm curious. You said in the bio, I read that you started this with 5 other people.
Well, we have 5 people on our team right now. Actually,
Okay,
we have
got it.
more. That bio is a little outdated, but we have 5 core team members that we just brought
Uh-huh.
on 3
Right.
interns that we're going to be training for the next 3 to 4 months. So
Mm-hmm.
uh, it's just an amazing group of really passionate and servant-led people.
Mm-hmm. Which I'm glad you said that again because I was just about to ask. Because earlier you mentioned leading by being a servant leading, right? How does that look for you, and how challenging is that at times?
I think that it's always challenging because we have to put the needs of somebody else ahead of ours. And I don't mean like always being like the martyr. Like I'm not
Mm-hmm.
going to harm myself in order to help someone else. So we're not
Mm-hmm.
going that far.
Okay.
But I want to always be in service and I want to always be supporting someone. So I always come to the table thinking, how can I support this person? How can I support this team member? How can I make this successful? How can I continue to grow this person? How can
Mm-hmm.
I like water this person? How can I continue to put like level this person up? And I think that's where like my servant leadership is really strong, is just
Mm-hmm.
continually to say like you have so much in you, like
Mm-hmm.
how can I keep fostering this so you too see it, because not only are you going to experience this growth, but it
Mm-hmm.
will filter and go and flood all of the other areas of your life as well.
So, Amy, let me ask, because I know there are a lot of people who might be watching right now, and when they hear the word servant, they feel like it's similar to slave. Like, why should I be taking my time to do things for others? I got a business to run. It's my way or the highway. Why do you feel it's so important to be a servant leader?
Yeah, so I don't think of servant as in hey, someone's asked me to do X, Y, and Z, and I'm just going to go do it because now I'm a task bunny, and that's not what I want to be. So we want to do it in a place that feels good for us. So I'm never going to serve someone that doesn't feel aligned with my own core values. That's really important to me. And the people that I surround myself with, they have to share my core values, and I have to share theirs, even if it's not exactly the same. We still have to have some similarities there.
No, I get
and
that.
so it's just really important that we understand that in order for the world to be a better place, in order for our community to be a better place, in order for our business to be a better place, we have to look at the other person and stop thinking about ourselves all the time. Because I believe when that person, when my client, when I'm serving that client and I'm supporting them and I'm saying, hey, what do you need right now? I see that they're frustrated. What do you need? Like, what can I help you with? It's just the simple act sometimes of asking them, what do you need to help them facilitate their own growth? So we have to take our own self ego out of the picture when we're leading in this sort of way.
I love that. And I agree with you completely. I think if the world was a more servant minded, particularly with people that have your same core values, the world would be in a lot better place, or at least that's my opinion. And I wonder, what challenges do you face or have you faced being a business that has a servant mindset?
Yeah, so a lot, I don't want to say a lot of times, a handful of times. What can be tricky is that someone will, do a clarity call. We might start working together in some sort of partnership, and they have presented themselves in one way and their mission in one way, but it's not actually in that way. And so as soon as that's realized, we have to have a really tough conversation, because I can't help a business if I don't believe in it. And if I don't believe in your mission and your vision, I'm not going to be useful. And you're wasting your money because you're going to get something that's half-assed if I continue working on it, right? So that's one way. The other way is just understanding and having a really good understanding with that person and transparency of, this is how I lead. This is how I come from a place of servant leading. And this is how I'm going to serve you and your business and your clients and all of these things. Those things have to be up front. Like, it has to be part of the conversation before we ever really move forward.
I love that, of how being transparent with your partners, your employees, or just even in your personal life, I think is a key on a lot of different factors. So you mentioned earlier that your husband actually now is the CFO. Did I hear that correctly?
Yes.
Right. How is it working with your husband? If I could ask, is that okay to ask?
Yeah, you can ask. It's so funny. Everyone always asks this. And my response is always, it's fine. Like, it's perfectly fine. I love it. I see him less working in the same house than when he worked outside of the house, because I have my office here, my door, and he's down. His office is downstairs. So we both have working hours. I walk downstairs, I see him, I give him a kiss. Hey, do you want to go to lunch together? We walk to the kitchen. He's like, oh, I got to go back to work. I got a Zoom call. Bye, I love you, kiss. And I walk back upstairs. And then we just meet together like, hey, what do you want to do for dinner? I thought it was your night. No, it's my night. Oh, I don't know. Let's order pizza.
That is, I love that, because it shows when great communication is there, you're able to accomplish like anything. Because I know a lot of people who are just quick to be like, yeah, I can't work with my spouse, or or something to that effect, right? And I just think that is completely awesome. And honestly, I think right now might be a good place to transition into bite the bullet questions to maybe get to know Amy just a little bit better.
Okay.
So, ladies and gentlemen, Amy does not know what is coming her way. We have the bite the bullet questions here. She has not seen them, not heard them. Are you ready to bite the bullet, Amy?
I guess I'm ready. Let's go. I can't back out now, so I have to.
Oh no, I got you now. I got you. All right. What motivates you to do what you do?
Well, impact. So I really desire to make an impact and like influence other women in their business, or just to stand up to shatter their like self-imposed glass ceilings. And I know that that is possible through like operational support, through leading them, through helping them grow. So impact in terms of impact in their daily life, impact in their business, impact for their students, their own clients, and then hopefully there's some sort of impact for the world.
I love that. I love that. Okay. What is one common myth about your profession that you want to debunk?
About my profession.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so profession as a whole, meaning I'm going to just kind of use it as like operational people, type A, detailed sort of people.
Okay.
The myth is that we always have our shit together, because a lot of times it looks like we do, because we're like, we know the due dates, we know what's going on, we have everything detailed. But in our personal lives, or even sometimes like outside of our project management system or however we're showing up, things are not always together. We have tons of Post-it notes in front of us. We have chicken scratch on the side. But just because we don't have our shit together always doesn't mean that we don't have things together when we bring it to the table or Zoom meetings.
Oh man, my heart is shattered. The veil is gone. I don't know what to think now. The world is upside down. Oh my gosh. What's one thing you wish you had known when you began your career?
Okay. I wish I would have known that I was already the expert. So when I started, I knew I had some skills that I could bring to the table. But if I would have leaned into the fact that I was already an expert in my field, then I would be able to have like unshakable confidence going into meetings and knowing I had the skills and showing up in that sort of way from day one when I started my business, instead of, crawling and falling down and all of these things along the way. So I wish I would have known that I was the expert already.
I can agree with that. If you could have dinner with any three people, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Okay. This one, okay. These probably will be super silly and not very like that's
hey,
like
whoever you want to have dinner with, there's no judgment here on Bite the Bullet.
So I'm gonna say one, Jane Austen. I'm just like a big geek and just a big fan. Yeah. So number one, I'm gonna say two, Shonda Rhimes, because Shondaland, like who doesn't love all of her work? And I just love her. And I'm gonna say three, Lin-Manuel Miranda, the creator of Hamilton.
Oh, yes.
And I don't know if you've seen it, but I'm going to quote something on why I would want to be at dinner, because if he was at dinner, I would truly be in the room where it happened. So if you are a Hamilton fan out there, you will totally resonate with that quote.
I love how you plugged in that Hamilton reference. Yo, that is, I love it. I love it. Oh man, that's great. Oh dude, my geek card is showing people. I love musical theater. I'm a huge geek myself, so I am down with you on all those picks. Wow, yes. I think you just made my day, Amy. That was cool. I love that. What is something people will be surprised to know about you that they didn't know already?
Okay. Well, since we've already had me getting emotional on here, I'll share something that very, very few people know, and I guess more people will know if they watch this, but I suffered, or I mean, I guess I should say I am suffering with an eating disorder. Only less than a handful of people know this. And it all kind of stemmed from when I was in middle school, lots of different issues that compounded. And what ultimately happened is I started battling with anorexia at that time.
Hmm.
And even though I never looked like it. And that was even harder to deal with because I never got to the point where you think of a person that is anorexic. I was
Right.
never real
Hmm.
skinny, and I still had that chubbiness and all of those things. Over time, I did get support for
Hmm.
that, and I do still have lingering issues through disordered eating and things like that, and it is a conscious battle every day. But there's progress every day. There's progress.
Hmm.
So
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing that. And I'm so happy to hear you say that there's progress every day. And it's something, I mean, I'm not happy that you struggle with it every day, but I'm glad you're at the point where you can say, you know what, this is a part of me. This is who I am, but I'm making strives to better it every single day. So I love that. And thank you for sharing again. What's one thing you failed at and what
what
did you learn?
um, figuring out my life, like
Hmm.
I think so. I'll back up. I don't believe in failure. I think that is there's not ever a time that we really truly failed. I don't think I ever failed in the term of what people think failure is.
Okay.
I look at failure as not something that happened wrong, but as something that I can grow from. So, like an
Hmm.
opportunity, a way to improve. So, how to step into my own personal next level. So, every time
Hmm.
that I felt broken or down, or I felt like a failure, I had to just figure out, like, it's not a complete waste. Like, I learned something, I learned what not to do.
Hmm.
Babies experience this all the time when they're trying to learn how to walk. They fall down. They don't stay down. They get back
Right.
up and they start terrorizing everything, right?
Hmm.
So, um, but I do think that if I had to classify anything as a failure, I thought I would have my life figured out. I thought it would go a certain way, right?
Hmm.
And the failure is that it never went the way that I thought it was going to go. And I'm so happy that it never went that way. I'm so happy it didn't go the path that I found or the path that I wanted it to go. And instead, I let life and experiences come to me. And so I think, I don't know, that's a roundabout way of answering your question.
Well, no, I think you're spot on. I'm not a person as well that believes in failure. I like to think of it as more they're all learning experiences. But
Yes.
I'm loving what you said and how, regardless of how you might have wanted or thought your life was gonna go, it's nowhere near it, and you're glad it's not. So I like
Yes.
that. What makes you feel inspired or like your best self?
Okay. Um, this might sound silly. You're a guy, so you might not completely understand, but um, Sunday nights, I look forward to Sunday nights 110%. It's not because, it used to be football nights or anything like that, but
Hmm.
Sunday night is my self-care ritual night. It is the night where I decide, okay, I'm taking this set of hours to myself.
Hmm.
I turn on
Okay.
some 90s music. I take long showers. I have a face and lip mask. I lock my bedroom door. I open any book that I want. Doesn't matter what the cover is because my kids aren't allowed in the room, and I can read without interruptions. And so having that time where I can just
Hmm.
mentally reset makes me feel like I am the person going into the week that I need to be, because I have that ability to just reset and
Hmm.
take time for myself and not feel guilty about it.
I love that. I mean, I'm going to ignore the fact that you said because I'm a guy, I might not understand, but I love that because honestly, I think guys do understand, but I think we do it in different ways because my wife knows every so often I just want to go to a movie. I want to go by myself and
Yes.
I want to do that. I want to zone and just be able to enjoy something, gather my thoughts. Can like don't get me wrong, I'll be watching a movie, but at the same time, like it helps me process. Like back when I used to run a lot, just getting out and going to run and be by myself just help those thoughts come in and just so I get that. I don't really do like I
Maybe
don't want
not
to
the
say,
face masks.
yeah, like that, but
Like
there's
just
things I
time
do.
by yourself is what you want. Yeah.
Exactly,
I
right?
think we
So
all want that, you
I
know.
get that. Oh, I'm definitely a person who thinks it's important that we all learn how to love ourselves and spend time by ourselves. Because if you don't, why would anybody else want to? You know?
Yeah, I'm gonna just say something and relate to in relation to that because part of
Mhm.
my journey, I'm 36 years old. So part of my journey, these 36 years, has been figuring out how to love myself, right?
Mhm.
And so, like, I went through many years where I was just trying to figure out how to not hate myself and how to
Mhm.
get over that.
Right.
Just the other night, I had a friend who basically said, "This is the one thing I want you to do to promote self-love. This is how you're gonna build a foundation." And it was four simple words. She told me to go stand in front of my mirror and say the words, "I love you, Amy." Look at myself in the mirror and say that. That is the first time in 36 years I ever told myself that I loved myself. The first time. And that was like life changing. I was like, I like cried, ugly cry, not like
Right.
the little tear that comes down, ugly cried. Um, and because that's just so foundational. We do all of these things to promote self-love, but are we really telling ourselves and internalizing that we do love ourselves? So I just wonder that because that's
Oh,
kind of like what I was thinking when this happened.
oh, I agree. I really think that in elementary school, whether it's public, private, or homeschool, there should be a class and or curriculum that helps children learn how to self-love,
Yes.
you know? So that way we can grow into functioning adults. So I
Yeah.
agree with you 100%.
They also need to learn like self-regulation,
Yeah.
like how to be like just a nice person and not an asshole. I could go
Hmm.
on and on these different classes.
Oh, that'll be a another episode when I bring you back. That
Okay.
was all that. So, if you could have a billboard with anything on it, what would it be and why?
I'm going to say I would love for it to be bright yellow because that's one of my favorite colors.
Okay.
And I would want it to say, "You matter." And the reason why I would pick those two words is because I think so many people out there feel invisible, that they
Hmm.
don't matter, no matter what their socioeconomic background is or
Hmm.
what their story is. Um, they don't feel like they matter, and so I know that because I was that person. And I
Hmm.
think if I had a billboard that I could have out, I would want it to reflect this idea that you matter. We see you. Keep going. Keep striving. We need your light, even though you feel like it's being hidden right now.
Absolutely. I think that needs to be a campaign all across the world, that there are just billboards all across the place that just has little phrases like "you are worthy," "you are
Yeah.
enough." Just that. I think that will make a whole lot of difference for a lot of
Somebody
different
will
people.
see it right at
Hmm.
the time where they need it. Like it will happen. Those things will
Hmm.
happen. They happen all of the time where you hear a message and it's instrumental to how you can move on. And so I just think that we should band together and make this happen, Jay. All of those billboards.
Absolutely. And if there are any sponsors out there who would like to help us get this done, please hit me and Amy up. We are more than happy to write all the slogans. All you got to do is put them up.
Yes, I will even pick the places and I will
Right?
direct the people putting it up. You just put the money down.
Exactly. Exactly. So, what advice would you give someone wanting to pursue a career similar to yours?
Um, okay. This actually might work for anybody who's pursuing anything.
Okay.
Maybe I don't know if it's going. I think it's going to be too generalized since you're putting me on the spot. Um, I'm going to say put on blinders. So, like, stop looking at what everyone else is doing. Don't look at
Oh.
your competitors.
Hmm.
Stop trying to keep up with the Joneses. Stop worrying if their grass is greener. You have everything that you already need. So, worry about watering your own grass. Worry about moving your business forward, and know that so much is possible for you. Also know that that person over there with that green grass, it's not actually green. They just put a filter on it to make it look that way. So
They just put a filter on it. Yo. I love that. I love yo. Clearly I'm going to be quoting you a lot after this interview. Wow. They just put a filter. Okay. What's the most important thing you've learned so far in your life, and why?
I would say I want to do something different than something that I've already kind of said. I don't want to repeat myself. Okay. Giving grace. So I think that sometimes we are reluctant to give grace because we feel like that person doesn't deserve it in that situation, or we don't feel like we have it within us to give grace no matter what's going on. But I think if you can truly do that, if you can give that person grace, even though it feels like the situation is so heavy, by giving grace, you're going to help that person move forward, and you're just going to move forward yourself. So you never know what is going on in that person's head. You never know what's going on in that person's life to make X, Y, and Z happen, or to cause X, Y, and Z. But you also will never know what could happen if you could just give that piece of grace to them.
Agreed. Wow. Okay. In your opinion, and this might be piggyback on your answer just off that question, okay, what is your best tip for making the world a better place?
Yeah, this is probably going to be redundant, but we'll go with it. I think everyone should just ask themselves, what can I do to make the world a better place? So I think just asking themselves that question is good enough. Like, I don't think anybody really truly asks themselves, okay, what can I personally do to improve the world, to improve my community, to improve my home, to improve like everything around me? But if we did ask ourselves, we would no longer settle for mediocrity, and we would continue to make the world better. So I want people to ask themselves that question and then understand that even a small thing can improve the world. And you're more than capable of doing that.
Wow. Okay. All right. Amy's on fire. All right. All right. She biting back on these questions. All right. we only got a few left, and they're going to get harder. Okay.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
So if you could turn back time and talk to your 18-year-old self, little Amy, what would you tell her?
Oh man, there's so many things that I would tell myself. I would say that what haunts you now won't haunt you forever. And that there is more things in the world and in store for you than you will ever imagine. And keep putting one foot forward, keep going, and don't give in to the darkness. So I guess that's what I would say to my 18-year-old self.
I love that. Okay. What are you afraid of?
Literally, I'm afraid of like creepy crawlies. It's not even that I'm scared of the spider or the bug, right? I'm not really scared. Like, I will put them in my hand, but it's the fact that like you never know that they're coming. So that is what scares me. So I also get scared every single day because when I walk out my office door, I don't know if people can see it, but it's right there. When I walk out that office door, at least one time every day, one of my kids goes, ah! And it just scares the bejesus.
Those darn kids. Oh man. No, I get that completely, because around my house, we kind of do the same thing to all of each other. Like, we love scaring each other. I feel bad for my youngest son because he hasn't got the grasp yet of how to properly scare people yet. So I get that completely. And I apologize on behalf of your kid, because I have that same thing inside of me.
I can even just be walking straight and my eyes see them, but it doesn't register in my head, and they still do it. I still jump like 5 feet. It's like the highest I can jump, like 5 feet, only when I'm scared. So
Oh man. Wow. Okay. If in 150 years science fails to save us all, Amy, and the only thing that's left is a book about your life, what would the title be and what would the back say?
um this is really hard. So I think that I would want the title to be something about rising. So rising above something or something in that sort of way.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe something that encompasses like how to like lead your, I don't want to say team because I think family and everyone. So lead your people, which is not
Mm-hmm.
a good title whatsoever. Publicists would kill me for that. So lead your people
Mm-hmm.
in a way that feels aligned. So I think that would be, something that I could really write on and have
Mm-hmm.
like a good book. I don't think it would help if there's like 150 years and there's people around, but um
Hey, don't knock my question. These are good questions.
so maybe in 150 years I should write a book more like how to like hoard a bunch of food so that you can survive the apocalypse or something.
Oh man, yes. In 150 years, if I was still around and saw that book in the rubble of the ashes of the world, I'd pick that book up in a
That
heartbeat.
one would be useful.
All right. What are the best resources that have helped you along the way?
Okay. How many do I need to name? Like 3?
Just whatever you feel has helped you along the way.
We'll go with 3 because 3 feels like a good number.
Okay.
1, my husband.
Okay.
So I don't nearly give him enough credit, but
Hmm.
he really helped pull me out of a lot of shitty situations. When we
Mm-hmm.
met, I was 18 and he was much older. No, I'm kidding. He's not that old, but I teased him about that. But
Yeah.
that really kind of started turning my life around. And he's
Mm.
been my biggest advocate starting this
Right.
business and helping me grow and making sure that I never got sucked down into like the guilt trap, the mom guilt trap. Like I need to be
Right.
doing more.
Mm-hmm.
So my husband along the way, I would say community. So having like-minded people that
Mm-hmm.
will talk with you when you feel down, will inspire you to keep going, will give you resources if you're stuck. So having a really good community of like-minded people, so we share the same sort of core values. And then I would say personal development books. So 2 of my favorite ones, if I had to list, would be The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. And
Okay.
then The Most Powerful Woman in the Room Is You. So those would be my two favorite.
I like that. Okay. So we're down to the last question. Are you ready, Amy?
Possibly.
Don't be scared. Don't be scared. All right. Where can our listeners connect with you online?
Oh, this one's easy. This is so much easier than all the other ones. You can connect with me on my website at amyedge.com. If you personally want to chat with me, which I'm sure you do, you can go to the little contact tab in the menu, and then it will pull up a scheduler, and you can click schedule a call with Amy, and then we can get something on the calendar. We can talk through your business or talk through, I guess, anything that you might, if you just think I'm really cool and you want to chat with me. You can also find me on Instagram. So if you want to follow me for business related things, you can go to @AmyEdgeCo. And if you want to follow my ridiculous life for some reason, you can go to @HeyAmyEdge. And that's like the behind the scenes sort of reel of life. And spoiler alert, my daughter and I are going to be she's producing TikToks for me. So there's going to be hilarious ones coming very soon. So
You already, we were talking beforehand, and you already know I love some TikTok. I'm
yeah,
on there all the time, so I love it.
Well, no dancing ones here because I don't have any rhythm. So
Don't worry. I just don't do the dancing ones just because a lot of the dances that they come up with, I'm like I'm not doing it. I can't do that. Like I'm
it's
good.
too intricate. Like I can be like in the club, like dancing to 90s music from like back in the
Right?
day, but not any of these like 50
Yeah.
million
Bring
steps.
back the real Running Man. I want the Cabbage Patch, the Tootsie Roll. Like bring
Yes.
that stuff back. I'm good. The stuff that they got now, I'm like no, I'll pass. But thank you, Amy, so much for being on the show. I appreciate your time. You dropped so much knowledge and so much wisdom, and I want to be respectful of your time. But before I let you go, are there any last words, any thoughts you'd love to share with the audience today?
Sure. There's definitely something I will say. I'll just ramble for maybe a minute or two, and hopefully
Fair enough.
something good will come out of it for you, Jay. So,
Right.
if you're like me, you've probably at one time have said that your story is worth nothing, that you
Mm.
are just inherently less than everyone else. And I want you to know that that is a false narrative that we create within ourselves. And that inner critic just paralyzes our own efforts to move our dreams forward. That constant comparison game of looking at everyone else, it just robs our happiness. And if you decide to keep playing that game, you're going to lose out on fulfilling your purpose and reaching your goals. And I don't want that for you. I want you to reach your success. I want you to reach that next level. And I know you want that too. So you have to decide that you have to revise, edit, delete that current story that is playing and repeat on your head.
Mhm.
Realize that your dreams are amazing. Your dreams are achievable. It doesn't matter what trouble or hardship or whatever it is, you can cross that finish line. Even if that means you are crawling your way to completion. Crawl on your hands and knees if you have. Don't let the stories that you are telling yourself, the false stories or the stories that other people are telling about you, pull you off your path to greatness. Your story, who you are, is unique to you. So walk forward today with confidence and determination, and never forget the vision that is in front of you. And don't wait for permission to start living your dream, living your life. Begin today.
Ooh, I hope you guys heard that, man. Man, I don't think there's anything I can say other than Amy is, in my opinion, 100% correct. Follow those dreams. Don't wait, and let's go get it.
Yes.
Holla. So, with that being said, this has been an awesome episode of Bite the Bullet, and we will catch you all later.
Bye, guys.